Barigalust! Welcome to the AWWA Armenian Voices, where Armenian stories live, breathe, and are passed on. In each episode, you'll hear real Armenian voices sharing personal stories about culture, family, and identity. Stories that help us stay connected to who we are and where we come from. This week's stories are all about the power of love. We hope you enjoy this episode, brought to you by the Armenian Women's Welfare Association, AWWA, where our mission since 1915 has been to honor, uplift, and care for our elders, advocate for their voices, and honor Armenian heritage.
I grew up in a town in Connecticut called Kent, where there were really no Armenians as far as I knew. My family and I were the only ones, and my mom is full Armenian, and my dad is from England originally, and he is English and Danish. But even though I didn't grow up around other Armenians, I always felt very connected to them because my mom instilled the passion for it in me and my sister in raising us. And so it was always something that I was aware of, and it was always something I felt close to, and something that people may or may not understand about Armenians is that upon meeting one in the wild anywhere in the world, it's an instant connection because there's a shared understanding of the history and the culture and the beauty of the culture, and it creates a closeness between people. And I've experienced that many times where, I might meet someone in the elevator and I learn their name is something Armenian, and then instantly that's a friendship, and then it turns out there's some connection going back even further with our own relatives. So it's as widespread as the community is, and as large as the diaspora is, it still feels like a small community. And that's something that I really love about it. And my ancestors are from Turkey. They're from historic Armenia. They're from Giligia and Erzinga and Adana. My great-grandfather was from Adana. And he spoke Turkish. And my mom, who was born in the States, in New York, recalled them speaking Turkish in the house, which is interesting. But they weren't able to speak Armenian. And as for my music, which is, I guess, really how my Armenian identity comes out, besides talking about it with people, because it's something I'm also passionate about discussing. My mom used to play Armenian music in the car when I was little, because in this small Connecticut town, you had to drive most places to get to anything significant. And one of her friends from LA, because my mom was born in New York but moved to LA, and lived in Michigan before that, where there's another Armenian community. So my mother was always around Armenians and active in the community, and she was active in the AYF. Her mom was active in the ARF and was on the board of trustees in the Armenian church. I was also baptized in the Armenian church in Los Angeles. And anyway, this one friend she had named Ara Dabanjan had a band called Element Band, and he plays many instruments. And their music was really my introduction, from what I remember at least, to this vast world of music, since Armenian music is definitely not just one thing. It is so many genres and identities, like within that one overarching identity. And I've been playing music since I was 5. I started on the piano, but I picked up the guitar when I was 7, which is what I would now consider to be my main instrument after 15 years or so. But as a high school graduation gift, my parents got me an oud. And at that time, I was very interested in learning how to play the oud. And after graduating high school, this was during COVID, I felt really inspired to go back to my roots more in the music world and see what I could learn about it, because it was sort of a different method than what I was used to with Western music. I was primarily playing rock and studying jazz, and I studied jazz in college. But this music that is directly connected to my ancestry was always there, and has been creeping up, and eventually now it's right in front of me, and I'm always listening to it, and I'm learning about it and reading about it and trying to play it, whatever that means. I don't know exactly what it means. I mean, I know that I've used a lot of the ornamentations that are involved, and the songs I compose are very much inspired by the folk dances in the villages of Asia Minor that you might not hear as much of in modern-day Armenia, since a lot of these songs have either been erased because of the genocide, or they're considered Turkish because they sound more Eastern or something. Something that I read in a book by Khachik Khazarian. It's a great book. But I feel like connecting my Armenianness to my music is what really keeps me going, because it's such a deep world with such beautiful melodies, and preserving it is something that is so important to me, because not many people are aware of it. Many people aren't aware of Armenia just as a country, and there's been so much pain and suffering in our history, including with my great-grandmother on my grandpa's side, his mother. She was 9 years old during the genocide, and she watched her family hold hands and walk into the Euphrates River instead of letting their lives be put into the hands of the Ottoman Turks. And she held onto a weeping willow tree, so the story goes, and then she was taken by a Kurdish family, and then ended up in Syria eventually, which is where my grandmother was born, and then she moved to Lebanon, and then came to Michigan to help her sister with her two little twins. That's eventually how my family got to the States. But I've been to Armenia a couple times, and especially the second time, I was 18 years old, and I was in love with hearing the music. I went to Etchmiadzin, I believe it was Etchmiadzin. I saw a lot of churches, so I lose track of which one it was. And although I'm not personally religious myself, the music that was sung by the women in there I was so incredibly moved by. And I could have been there all day listening to it. And then later on in the trip, I was at a restaurant, and there was live music being played, and there was a kanun player and a tar player and I think a dumbek player. But since then, and through learning the oud online with a couple different teachers, including Mal Barsamian and Ara Dinkjian, who have been such amazing teachers for me, I've learned more about the theory, the music theory, if you can call it that. It's only theory now because we're studying the music, I guess. But that's what I feel is important for me and my mission in music to convey to people, is that this is a big part of my identity, and this is where my roots are from, and I want to welcome you into it and preserve it and share its beauty with you. And that's currently what I'm doing. I'm continuing to practice and connect with my instrument and learn about this music and read about this music, talk with different people about this music, and I hope to just present it to more and more people wherever I can, whenever I can. So, thank you.
Thank you for listening to our podcast today. We hope today's episode offered insight into the Armenian experience. To explore more resources or make a donation to help further our mission, please visit www.awwainc.org. That's www.awwainc.org. Your support makes a lasting difference.